Hey, my name's Katie, and I'm going to share with you how I was able to turn a $79,000 house that I bought as a single parent, making $22,000 a year, into a $200,000 house. And now I'm going to be selling that house and pay for another house in cash and be completely mortgage free. 8 years ago, I was a single parent. I was making $22,000 a year and I was paying pretty high rent. And I was looking at some of the prices of houses in the area, and I realized that I could get my mortgage payment down a lot lower if I was to buy an inexpensive house. So I went and I was able to be pre-approved for a loan. The loan was only about $85,000. So I knew that I was going to have to buy a pretty cheap house, and I started looking at houses that needed to be renovated. And I was looking for something that I felt like I could renovate on my own. But basically, I found a house that was in foreclosure and I paid $79,000 for the house. I was able to get an FHA 203K renovation loan, and I'm not going to really go into that in this video, but basically what that is I was able to be approved for the $79,000 for the house, and then also tack on another $6,000 of renovation money to put into that house, and that tacked onto the mortgage loan. So my actual mortgage loan was for $85,000. And so I did $6,000 of renovations before I even moved into the house. And then over the last 8 years, I put another about $5,000 into renovations of the house. So my total cost was $90,000, and I should be able to sell the house for around $200,000 today. And I'm going to be using the equity that I have in this house when I go to sell it to buy another house for cash and be completely mortgage free. And I just really think that buying an inexpensive renovation loan house is a great way for people who are lower income, or maybe you're a single parent, or you're young and you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of money and you can't be approved for a lot. Buying a house to renovate, if you're willing to put in the time and the work, is a great way to build wealth. So I'm going to share with you the things that I looked for when I was purchasing my house, and things that were really helpful for me, and I'm glad that I did. And then moving forward, when I am currently looking to purchase another house, some of the things that I'm looking for, because I plan on buying a house that needs more renovation work, and trying to increase the equity of that house to build my wealth even more. The first thing that I look for is I look at the neighborhood that the house is in. So you don't want to buy a house that all the other houses around it are less expensive or the same price that you're paying. You want to look at what you're going to sell the house in the future for. So if you're looking at a neighborhood and all the other houses are $200,000 and the house you're buying is $100,000, that is the perfect situation to be in. So that means that you can invest money into the house and build it up and make it a $200,000 house, just like all the other houses in the neighborhood. And with the neighborhood, you also want to look at location, as far as what about the schools and the crime and public transportation. Maybe those things aren't important to you, but they might be important to future home buyers when you go to sell the house. And one of the things that I did when I bought a house is that I moved right outside the main city. So I live close to Knoxville, and instead of buying a house in Knoxville, I bought a house right outside Knoxville in a smaller town. And in the town that I purchased in was growing. So they were adding a whole bunch of new businesses, and it was an area that people were going to start moving to. And in the last 8 years, that is what has happened. It has just grown substantially, and more people are moving here and they want to buy houses here. So it's a great situation to be in when you're a seller. When you're looking at a house, you need to come to terms with the fact that you are going to be buying a renovation and it's not going to be picture perfect. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff to fix the house, and that's how you're going to build the equity, because you're going to be doing the work on your own, hopefully, and you're just going to put a lot of time and effort into it, and the house is not going to be beautiful. The uglier, the better. But you want to make sure that the renovations that need to be done are mostly cosmetic. You don't want to get into anything like a bad foundation or major termite damage, electrical, plumbing. Those might be things that you don't want to deal with, because you're going to have to pay somebody else to do those things, and that's where things get really expensive. So an ugly house with good bones is really the best situation to be in, because you do not want to buy something that's going to drain your money. You're going to feel like you're spending a lot of money on it probably, but you don't want to get an emergency situation, because you can. So you do need to be really picky about the house that you choose. So ugly is good, but you don't want it to have a whole bunch of stuff wrong with it. And as far as the renovation goes, you also want to consider like how much work needs to be done to make it livable. Are you going to have to put a whole lot of money in initially, and is that money that you have, or is it something that you can do slowly over time? So you don't really want to live in a house that is a renovation project for 8 years. For my house, I did a whole bunch of renovations in the very beginning in the main living part of the house, but there was also an unfinished basement. So a lot of my renovations over the past 8 years after that initial renovations that I did, it was in the basement. So I was able to separate my living area from my renovation project. So you don't really want to live in a situation where you're just in this big renovation project. You want to be able to separate it. Something like renovating a bathroom. If you have 2 bathrooms in the house and both of the bathrooms need to be renovated, you could do one at a time, and it's really not that big of a deal. Something like a complete gut of the kitchen, that's a big deal, because you are going to be living and you need that kitchen. So you want to make sure that you're going to do that area as quickly as possible. And then another thing that I find really important is curb appeal of the house. Like, what do people see when they drive by or when they look at it? Because that's going to really help with selling the house. It doesn't have to have curb appeal when you buy the house, but you want it to have it when you go and sell the house. So the potential for curb appeal really needs to be there. How unique is the house? How cute can you make it look to potential buyers? So when you go to buy your house, you really have to think about what potential buyers are going to be looking for down the road. And you know, it's a lot of work to renovate a house. And I did not know anything about renovating or building or anything when I first started. I learned almost everything on YouTube. I did occasionally mess up and I had to do things over, and some things are not perfect, but I really feel good about the job that I did, and I got it done and it looks really good. I did occasionally have to pay somebody to come in if I didn't know how to do something, but yeah, I just gained a lot of confidence. I use YouTube a whole lot to help me out. While it is a really good investment in a way to build wealth, I do want to just hammer in the fact that it is a lot of work, and I put in a lot of time into renovating this house. Because I did most of the work myself, it really didn't cost very much money, but it did take a lot of time. Now, I didn't spend the whole 8 years renovating the house every day or even every week. I took a year off occasionally and I didn't do anything for a whole year, or I would do little projects here or there, like I would add on a deck, or I would finish a bathroom, or I would knock down a wall, or I would do a painting project off and on for the last 8 years. So it wasn't like 8 hardcore years of just working on the house. The last 2 or 3 months, I know that I'm getting ready to sell the house, so I have been working a whole lot the last 2 or 3 months. But overall, it hasn't been like that much, but it has been a lot of work. Like looking back, I realize how much work it has been. But I think for people who are in a lower income bracket, maybe you're a single parent or young and starting off, that this is like one of the best ways that you can build equity and have more financial freedom, because you have to have a place to live and you're going to be paying rent or a mortgage anyway. And if you're able to put in the time and the effort into a renovation project and to really think about your future, housing is a great investment. And I am so glad that I did it. It completely changed the whole trajectory of my financial life. And just knowing that in the future that I can pay cash for a house is just such a relief. Or even just knowing that I have so much equity in the house that I'm living in. And if I ever am in a bad financial situation and I need to sell my house and I need some money, like it's there and I can do that and I will be okay. And it just brings so much peace to my life. But if you guys have any questions or comments, or if you've done this before, just leave a comment below. And if you want to follow me on my journey of selling my house and purchasing a new house completely mortgage free, you can subscribe. I also plan on posting some more videos relating to this topic and how I did it. And if you guys have any questions, let me know if you want me to do a video on anything specific that I talked about or anything else. But good luck to everybody, and I'll talk to you later.